So like this colony right here, you know, I'm looking at them, and it looks like there's a guard down there. You know? Okay. Those bees, 2 bees that just came out, they're foragers. So this is not being guarded heavily.
Get behind you.
Oh, that's okay.
I can go down to this one at the end. This was a hive from hell. It was really nasty. We recleaned it. There's a guard bee right there. Okay, right there. I'm just touching a guard bee. Guard bee's checking me out with its antenna and its front legs. It'll sit up on the back, 2 pair of legs. Okay. But anyway, yeah, they're just kind of checking each other. But anyway, there's no aggressive behavior. That tells me that it's okay for me to go a little bit further. Every layer that you go into the colony is going to tell you something about whether you can proceed or not. So, but anyway, you know, these are all kind of behaving the same way. As you get into each one, the personality of the colony will start to come out. But what I do is I put a puff of smoke or 2 at the entrance, and then I will enter the colony. And you got to think about what you're doing when you go in there before you go in. What do you want to do? What are we going to achieve today? Today we're going to look at the resources in these colonies, figure out how much brood is in there, and what the distribution of the brood is. Is there eggs, open brood, cat brood evenly? Is there a lot of cat brood and are no eggs? We want to know the status of the queen. We want to look at the colony population. When I pick up a frame of brood and it's open brood and eggs or cat brood, are there bees covering it? Okay. If there aren't a lot of nurse bees and there's brood in there, why? There should be nurse bees on top of the brood. And are there a lot of drone cells in there? And is there a high population of drones? Because that tells me something too. In May, June, that's a normal thing to have lots of drones because there's a lot of mating going on. This time of year, that starts to taper off. You really see a ton of them. You see the drone population starts to die down. That's why it's hard to make queens late in the year, because there's not a big population of mature drones. And so what we have right here is an arc in front of these colonies is okay. I would actually move back probably, so you're about 10 feet away, because the bees are going to come in and they're going to go, okay, what is this white fence? What do they put this fence in for? But anyway, they're going to be looking for the entrance, and but anyway, they'll fly over the top of you and come down. You know when you are too close to the entrance because you turn around and there's this ball of bees in the air, or they're crawling over your shoulders, trying to come in and land. So, but anyway, where do you want to start? Which one do you want to know about?
Well, I'd like
this
to
one
start
first?
with this one.
Okay.
What I did with this one, I don't know if you guys heard me telling it, but I've had problems with queens in here, so I finally got tired of killing queens and spending money. So I was going to combine it with that single hive. So I put the bottom box on top with a queen excluder because I didn't want the queen up there just yet. And I took the top box, which has got a lot of nectar in it, and walked way out in the field out there and started brushing bees off. And I had taken a cursory look after killing what I thought was 3 queens in here to make sure there wasn't any brood. I don't know why, but on the 3rd frame I pulled it out, took a quick look at it with the sun behind me, and it was full of wet brood. So I'm hoping I didn't brush my queen off out in that field. I hope they didn't kill it when I put it on top of there, so I put it all back together.
But
here.
today we will find out the rest of the story.
Yeah.
So anyway, every time I pull the cover off, there's no screen or anything on it, I'm looking. I want to make sure that she's not up here. Queens can be in places you do not expect them to be. And my wife goes, famous last words, the queen is never, or the bees will never. And she goes, the moment you tell me that, I know the next thing we're going to see is the exception to that. And she's right. So anyway, these guys right here, you can watch how they respond. You can just give them just a teeny tiny bit of smoke, and they kind of run around and they disperse. You can use to do that. But anyway, I'm just going to put a little bit right there. Okay, not a lot. You don't have to use a ton. If you want to see most of what's going on inside your colony, don't smoke the bees heavily. Just use it, you know, very, very lightly and gently. You can stick it out here and you can watch what happens to the air pattern. Like, oh, they're sucking air in over here. But just some light puffs. And then wait for, you know, at least 30 seconds. Now, it depends on the bees. Some of them I can open right up and get in and work them and not smoke them at all. But it's like just watching how they behave, you know, here at the entrance. You know, are they looking at me? Are they jumping on my finger? Bees will pound you before they poke you. They'll slam into your veil. They'll get in your face. They'll fly around. They'll do everything they can possibly do to convince you to pay attention to them because they're irritated. And if you learn to take those cues to back off or slow down or to button things up and come back on a nicer day when they feel more like communing with you. So,
you guys are wondering what these are. They're thumbtacks. I gap my lids 1/8 of an inch for ventilation.
Yeah.
Pretty much year round. I figured out if you're using top feeders,
yep,
that even though 1/8 of an inch, they'll still get in there. I don't know how, but you'll see
they're like rats.
Little chunks laying around where I've popped them off of the other lids.
Yeah. So anyway, so I give them a little bit of smoke and just a little bit more. And it's sat for a while. So, and if you put things on top of hives, set them down gently, because every time you bang or bump one of these boxes, it tells the bees something's going on outside that's not normal, and you don't want to do that. But anyway, you know, the same thing here is I can, you know, chase these girls around. I can touch them. I can pet them. They don't sting me, but that's so slowly, carefully. You know, if it's warm, you know, you got to remember when it's cold, propolis will snap and pop, and you know. But anyway, this is kind of in between. It's kind of warmish. Okay, and then I can just shoot some smoke inside of there, and what it does, it'll drive them down off the surface. But anyway, just slowly open it up like this. What I like to do is I don't open it up and turn it around into my face. I will go like this and kind of hold this up. If you get some nasty bees, this works really good as a shield. They'll pound this thing and you can kind of go, okay. But anyway, no queen on here, no queen on top. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set this guy down right here. And they can all run back up in if they want. And these bees can hang out on the lid. I can shake them in later. But anyway, I look down in here. And this tells me a bunch. If I see a bunch of faces that follow my hand, if they all go like this and go like that, when I move my hand across the top of the hive, then I'm going, they're really paying attention to me. I don't want that. And what you'll find is if this is brood nest right here, the guard bees will be on the periphery and the foragers. They'll kind of run around up on the outside. And those are the guys that you want to distract. And so what you would do is I'll just show you what I do. I'm not seeing this here. But anyway, I just puff smoke around the periphery like that. And I leave this alone. Nurse bees aren't going to sting you. They're not going to defend the hive. They're not there. They haven't reached that stage of life yet. So what you want to do is leave that brood nest alone so you can examine it. You can see which bees are in there, where they're at, and what they're doing. And that'll tell you something about the health of the nest. The more you disturb it, the harder it is to decipher those things. So don't disturb the brood nest. You know, test for aggressive behavior. If you don't see it, then you can just slowly start digging away and do things. But don't smoke unless you have to, and just slow down. So I'm gonna grab a frame rest out of my stuff.
And that one's ready.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
On your map.
What's that? Oh,
That's good.
yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
it.
And then there's an insert, a 95 insert.
You can do all kinds of stuff with these. I turn lids over and set them on other colonies and prop them up on that. You can put them on the side of the box like this if you want to. But just looking at this, I'm looking at bees, bees, bees. You can, kind of file past this and just look at the surface of this. There's bees filling in every seam.
Take a look.
Come look. They're not going to fly up and get you.
Take a look and then stand back to the next person.
Yeah, just file past. But this is full. This has got a healthy population in it. And I would suspect that there's probably brood up in here. They behave differently when there is not brood and they're dealing with stores where there's honey or pollen. They'll mill around more, they'll run. But if there's brood in there, those bees will stay in the seam, and because their job is to incubate and care for them. So, but anyway, that's one way of looking at them. Another way of looking at them is to pop the box and tip it up and look at the bottom, because you can see the same thing. You can also see the edges of the brood. Here, I'm gonna grab it. That's a little slimmer. And just lift it up and shoot a little smoke in there. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
So if I look at this, and I look in here, this is going to tell me what's going on inside these frames. I would see brood in here. See, there's a tight pattern of bees right here. Right there. Those bees are probably overbrood. These ones there may be some brood up in here. There may not, but you can see a lot. I mean, there's partially drawn comb in here. There's dark comb, but I'm looking, and there's a queen cap there. But there's a whole bunch of stuff you can tell. When you do this, when you tip up boxes and you look at the top and the bottom, that's called a level 2 inspection. A level 1 inspection is not opening the hive, just walking around it, looking at the entrances, looking at the way the bees are flying, looking at what they're bringing in and out of the hive, okay, and how they're interacting if there's robbing. This is level 2. Level 3 is pulling frames out and getting down to the frame level. So you can do a level 2 inspection and learn a lot. I mean, I'm looking through here and just looking at daylight, I know there's not a lot of daylight. There's a lot of bees in there,
Yeah.
So where's the colony population? It's fairly elevated. This box is full.
So you would add another box at this time?
Well, I'm not making that decision yet. The question is what time of year is it? Is there a reason for it? My question to you is, I'm adding another box because...
Keep that off the grass.
Oh, okay.
Because of your overpopulation within the hive itself, and you'd want to add additional to
What time of year is it though?
It's late summer.
Okay, what's happening to the population of bees? Is it going up or is it starting to go down?
Should be starting to go
Starting
down.
to go down. Yeah. And then here's the
What's
deal.
their food
That is
source
a really
doing?
good question. I'm glad you brought that
Yeah,
up.
it is. This is
an important concept.
This is
of the
not.
beekeeping
There are
Because I put boxes on already, and it's like I'm thinking I'm taking those suckers
Well,
off.
I
because I've got too many.
like when I was talking with Linda the other day, she says I've been up to the Vidana hives. I put another box on. My first question is then what's in them?
Yeah.
Okay, and then that was a good question because she gave them more space. But what we needed to do is we needed to fill the space that she added with resources. So we had this conversation. Paul's got drawn frames. I've got a nuke with 5 frames of capped brood and bees in it.
Right.
So we're going to double the population of those hives. She prepped it, but the conversation is are they ready to increase in size? I think they are, but we got to have resources to help them. So if you're dealing with a small colony and you want to build them up, adding a box is not a bad thing to do. If you put resources in there that'll help kick them into the next level.
Cage, something like
Yeah, all that stuff. All that stuff is important. So,
Okay.
so like I said, before you get in your colonies, what we're doing now is we're assessing the status of each one of these colonies, the strength of it. We're going to equalize them. We're going to evaluate the queens and the resources. And our goal is to have a colony that's standard through all of this. You know, if